Hello everybody, I'm Thomas and welcome back to another video. This time I am back with a ranking of my 20 most anticipated games to buy and try this year at Gencon. So this year I will be attending Gencon again, and there's lots of great games that will be there, both to buy and to try. Specifically, this Board Game Geek list where publishers can upload games that will be at the convention. There is currently, as of the time of recording this, on July 23rd, Tuesday, there are 574 games. That is a lot of games, and publishers just keep adding more. I kind of postponed this video because I was a little busy, and also because games just keep getting added, and I wanted to make sure I had a pretty solid list before doing this video. So I'll try to keep this intro short. I'm gonna be going over 10 games to buy at Gen Con and 10 games to try at Gen Con. And keep in mind, these are just my opinions on games that I am most excited about buying and trying. If you want to see like the overall consensus, I will have the list for the Board Game Geek page in the description, and you could just sort by the number of thumbs, which is the hotness. So you can see this is the overall, top games of the convention and stuff that people are most excited about. Some are going to be on my list, some will not. So with that out of the way, let's get started on the top 10 games I am most excited for. And I should mention before we hop into this that a lot of my games are solo focused. I am a big solo gamer, not exclusively, but I really enjoy playing solo games. So that's a big thing I look for, and I would say 90% of my list is either have some sort of solo play, either whether solo exclusive or have solo as an option. All right, starting in at number 10 on my list of games to buy is SideQuest Frostpunk, which this is a game I just added pretty much before doing this video. Is published by Board and Dice. It's a 1 to 4 player game, 60 to 90 minutes. It's located at booth 2611, and its price is listed at $16. The thing that caught me is I haven't really played the Frostpunk video game. I have a little bit. I know there's a board game, but the description is what got me. A city survival escape room style game in which every decision comes with a cost. There's not much to really go off of, and I think this is a recent addition to this list because I don't remember seeing it before, but that description alone sounds pretty cool. A city survival escape room style game, a small version of Frostpunk. I don't really know what's going on, but I'm interested and at least gonna give this a look to see what it's all about. Number 9 on my games to try is Pampero by APE Games. It's 1 to 4 players, takes 60 to 150 minutes. It's located at booth 2455, and the price was not listed, but it is listed as available to buy. Its description reads, build wind farms, then expand and improve your grid to master the energy market. Looks like it's going to be a bit of a heavier game at 3.85 weight out of 5. This was a game that was available to preview last year at Gen Con. I remember at least stopping by the booth. I didn't get a full sit-down demo, but I got an explanation. And the game looks really cool. I'm a big fan of like technology style games, and especially I really like the art style of this. The player boards look really cool with like different tech tree upgrades. It looks like a bigger game, so depending on the price point, I may or may not pick it up, but I am definitely interested in Pampero. Next up on the list is Star Tycoon by Good Games Publishing. It's 1 to 4 players at 25 to 100 minutes, located at booth 2833, and it goes for $40. Its description reads, expand your interstellar company while a central market reacts to supply and demand. Sounds like a really interesting game. I kind of like economic games, depending on the game. The art looks really slick. I like it, and I like the idea of just having a central market that reacts to supply and demand, like they said. Don't really know too much else what's going on. It looks fairly simple, but I imagine there's a decent amount of strategy. I like sci-fi games, so at the very least, I'm going to check out this game and see what Star Tycoon is all about. Next up on the list is Compile by Greater Than Games. It is a 2-player only game, listed at 20 to 30 minutes. It has 2 different booths. It's going to be demoing at booth 1321, and it's going to be for sale at booth 1429. Its sale price is listed at $20. Its description reads, competing AIs stack themed ideas to compile 3 protocols, ? quickly. If you know me, you know I'm a bit of a tech guy. I like computer games and computers in general, so like Turing Machine was a big hit for me. So this definitely caught my eye, especially that it is a two-player only game. I quite like head-to-head card battlers. You know, I'm a big fan of Keyforge. I picked up Pocket Paragons last year, so as a computer-themed head-to-head quick game, it piqued my interest at the very least. I want to learn more about it and see kind of how it plays and all that. So that's why Compile has made my list. Next up is Witchcraft by 25th Century Games. This is a single player only game coming in at 20 to 40 minutes. It's gonna be located at booth 1233 for $25. Its description reads, a coven of witches prove their innocence and defend a village from the supernatural. Somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this game is essentially a reskin of, oh, it says it right up there, of Resist, which I heard good things about. I think it's another solo-only game, but then they rethemed it as a witch coven type game. I really like the art style. The theme I'm not crazy about, but I've heard good things about Resist and Witchcraft. I think this is not a super new game. It came out last year, I guess. I think it may be other countries. I think it was at Essen last year. I forget exactly. But I want to give it a shot, especially it's a solo game. Pretty small, pretty quick. At least maybe I could try to demo it and see what it's about, but this is definitely one I want to check out. Next up is Cascadia, and there are two versions of this. There are Rolling Rivers and Rolling Hills, I believe is what the other one's called. I have Rolling Rivers on my list. This is by Flat Out Games, 1 to 4 players, 15 to 30 minutes, located at booth 403 for $25. Description reads, flip and roll and write to create the ravine landscape of Cascadia. I have played Cascadia, the original, before. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of it. Nature themes I'm okay on. The whole aspect of it, I just wasn't a huge fan of like how it played. It was an okay game, but I like roll and writes, so I am very keen to try this. And I also like the idea that there's kind of two different versions. It really brings me back to like the Pokemon games. We got Pokemon Red or Pokemon Blue. That's kind of the vibes I was getting with the Rolling Rivers and the Hills version, where they're similar games with just maybe slightly different themes. So I might be checking out Cascadia Rolling Rivers. Next up is The Search for UAPs by Renegade Games Studio. I don't know exactly what UAP stands for. I think it stands for Unidentified Alien, probably. That sounds correct. This is a game by Renegade Game Studios, 1 to 5 players, 45 to 60 minutes at booth 1619 for $45. Description reads, scan the skies to deduce the location of satellites, meteor showers, and UAPs. And so this game, from what it says up here, it's a re-implementation of Lost Species and The Search for Planet X. From my understanding, I don't know the full story behind it, but I think that it's some other game designer, Ted Alpash, I assume, who wasn't a part of the original games, but wanted to try to make their own spin on the Search for Planet X series of games, and came up with this game. So I quite like Search for Planet X. I never tried Search for Lost Species, mainly because it was sold out last year at Gencon because they didn't bring enough copies. But this seems interesting. It also seems like a little bit more smaller version of it, maybe a bit quicker. So at the very least, I want to check this out, but this might be one I am picking up. Next up is A Gentle Rain by Incredible Dream Studio. This is a solo-only game at 15-minute playtime at booth 2955 for a listed price of $20. Its description reads, take a deep breath, match colorful flowers, and relax. This game, as you can see, is a bit older. It came out in 2021. And it's a game I've heard about for a while, especially in the solo space. It's a solo-only game, and I've heard it's a really good one. And though I'm not crazy on like abstract pattern games, this one I liked the look of, but it's always been out of stock whenever I looked for it. So I think what's been going on is that they've been doing a new print cycle of the game, I guess, and that's what's going to be at Gen Con. So I will definitely be looking to pick this up. It looks pretty chill, pretty simple, supposed to be pretty relaxing. I don't know exactly how it's played, but I've heard good things, and I will probably be picking this up. All right, number 2 on games to buy is, of course, Arcs. How could I not talk about Arcs? Arcs is from Leader Games, a 2 to 4 player game taking 60 to 120 minutes at booth 837. This is going to cost $60. Its description reads, guide your faction through a fast-playing space opera. this is going to be one of the games of the con. I just assume so. I mean, it's one of the hottest games on the list, and it's one that I've been hearing, I feel like, nonstop things about. Lots of reviews coming out from Shut Up and Sit Down and a bunch of other channels, all seeming to be really positive. I think the Dice Tower just did a review recently, and they all reviewed it pretty positively. I have not played Oath, which is this leader game before this. I have played some of Root. I'm not crazy about it. Not saying it's a bad game. Don't come at me, Root haters or Root fanboys. But I want to try this. Space theme seems cool. It's also partially a trick-taking game. Like, there's some trick-taking, which I'm a big fan of trick-taking. The theme seems cool. I also know that there is like a second box set that's like a campaign, so that really interests me. I do wish it had some sort of solo mode, but I think I will be picking this up. Okay, before I hop into my number one, I do have an honorable mention for the number one spot, and that is Slay the Spire, the board game. This will be at Gencon. I already have this game. That is the main reason it didn't make my list, because like I said, I'm kind of just putting on games that I am most personally excited for, and I already have Slay the Spire, but man, this is a fantastic game. It has quickly become one of my favorite solo games and maybe one of my favorite games in my collection. And that's coming from someone that did play the video game, but wasn't like, I hadn't played it a crazy amount. I was pretty familiar with it, but the board game blew me away. It is fantastic. It does take a while to set up. It's a big game. There is a good amount of upkeep. My main criticism is it is expensive. It is a big game with lots of components, and especially the collector's edition has even more stuff. So it is an expensive game. But I think if you're interested in deck building, if you've played the video game of Slay the Spire, this is absolutely one you want to check out. All right, the number one game that I am excited to be buying at Gen Con is The Gang from Cosmos. This is a 3 to 6 player game taking 20 minutes, located at booth 2619 for price of $15. The description reads, how well can everybody predict their hand in Texas Hold'em? This was a game that wasn't even on my radar till I saw it mentioned in Thinker Themer's video, and it's from Cosmos, so I didn't put one and one together, but this is the same people that made The Crew, which I am a big fan of. So I thought, hey, okay, Cosmos is trying to do another version of take a kind of traditional card game, make it co-op, put a spin on it. Let's see how it works. Overall, the reviews seem pretty positive from what I've heard so far. It seems like it maybe is a little hit and miss. I personally am not even really familiar with Texas Hold'em or like poker hands, so I do know you need some like knowledge of that to probably enjoy the game, though I've heard you can also play it without it. But regardless, I'm such a big fan of The Crew that I am willing to pick up The Gang and see how good it is. Before I hop into games to demo, a quick few honorable mentions that just didn't make the cut because I only could choose 10. And like I said, there are so many games here. Honorable mention is Gaia Project: The Lost Fleet, the first expansion for Gaia Project. It's huge. Adds in some new tech tiles, adds in some round boosting, adds in some new factions that you can play as. It adds in it seems like a whole lot of stuff. And I like Gaia Project. I'm, not a huge fanboy of it, mainly because, I don't know, it's a pretty big game to play. I'm not a big fan of the Autonoma to run, but I think it's a cool game regardless. It's one I play on Board Game Geek a lot. So this seems pretty cool. I probably won't pick it up, but I'll always maybe go stop by and check it out. Next game, honorable mention, is Belrati, I think it's pronounced, from Cosmos. It seems like a pretty fun kind of fake artist type game, where I think like there you got two different teams, and someone's buyer and painter, and then the others are the painters. And I don't know much about it, but it looked pretty cool, and it's from Cosmos, and I'm slowly becoming a fan of their like smaller kind of team or co-op games. Next up, honorable mention, Salt and Sea. Seemed pretty cool. The theme seemed kind of okay, but economic games I'm kind of coming around to, and they have some cool looking like player boards, and the cards look neat, so maybe I'll at least check this out, but I don't know if I'll pick it up. And then quickly, Tangram City. This one looked really unique. The fact that you're making little cities with tangrams, I guess is what they're called, like the little different shapes. I remember having like tangram puzzle type things when I was younger, so this seems really cool. I want to check it out, and I might pick it up. Who knows? Last honorable mention, Gloomhaven buttons and bugs. And I gotta say, personally, I'm not a huge fan of the Gloomhaven franchise. No hate against it, it's just not one that I've personally enjoyed too many of the games of. I've played the digital version of the original, I've played Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. Neither really did it for me, but this one I recently played on my most recent live stream, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been kind of the first Gloomhaven game that really clicked for me. It is a solo-only, small version of Gloomhaven, but I absolutely am really enjoying it, and I think it's the first Gloomhaven game that I've really enjoyed playing, and I kind of made the game click for me. So it might be hard to see. It's set up on my desk right behind me because I was playing it earlier today. So it is a phenomenal game. I think it only costs like 20 bucks. If you're a fan of Gloomhaven and you want a solo way to play it, or if you're a solo player and want to get into the Gloomhaven games, I would highly recommend giving this game a shot. All right, now games to try at Gencon. Coming in at number 10 is more Gloomhaven with Gloomhaven 2nd Edition by Cephalofair Games. Just messed that up, but that's okay. We're gonna keep going. 1 to 4 players, 60 to 120 minutes at booth 355. Expected release date of 2024. Subscription reads Vanquish monsters with strategic card play and an updated version of Gloomhaven. There's no pictures to really show, but it's just Gloomhaven 2nd Edition. I'm sure it's cool, and you know what? I'm pretty jazzed about the newest buttons and bugs Gloomhaven, so maybe this version, I don't know, maybe they implement some of the stuff they did with that into the original to make the original better, or I don't know, but at the end of the day, I am very curious to try this. Coming in at number 9 is Alte Dawn of Civilization by Ares Games. It's 2 to 4 players, 30 to 90 minutes at booth 541. Expected release date of Q4 2024. Its description reads an innovative blend of deck building and kingdom building, which that description alone is what hooked me. Kingdom building games, I kind of like. 4X style stuff I think is pretty fun, and deck building I quite like. So combining the two seems interesting. Not too many pictures to go off of. The art seems cool, but this is definitely one I want to check out. Next up is Party Panda Pirates by Draco Studios. This is 2 to 5 players, 30 to 45 minutes at booth 905 with an expected release date of December 2024. Description reads, Pandas, pirates sail in search of fun mini games inspired by Mario Party. And that little last line is really kind of what hooked me. I think some of the pictures also looked pretty, it looks like a charming game, and I like Mario Party as like a video game, as just like a fun thing to play. And so a board game version of that sounds kind of neat. Might be geared more towards children, but I at least want to give it a shot and see what it's all about. Next up is Innovation by Asmadi Games, 2 to 5 players, 30 to 60 minutes, and at booth 2555. And this is, I guess, Innovation Ultimate, which its description reads, guide your civilization with inventions from the Stone Age through the modern era. I have not played any of the versions of Innovation, but I have heard nothing but good things about it. I've heard it's a crazy, wacky, fun card game, pretty complex, but I guess this is the ultimate version that just takes all of the base game and expansions and puts it all in one box, which, as someone who's never played any of the games and kind of wants to try them, this seems like something for me, so that's something I'll definitely be checking out. Next up is Don't Starve by Glass Cannon Unplugged. It's a 1 to 4 player game, 60 to 90 minutes at booth 1939. Expected release date of Q4 2025. Description reads, explore, fight, survive, but most importantly, don't starve. This is based on the video game, which I have I've never played and I don't really know anything about, but I've been interested in trying more video game adaptations. I've really enjoyed Slay the Spire. I've also recently backed Apex Legends by the same company that's doing this, and I have high hopes for that, and from what I've seen, it seems pretty promising, so I think this is one I at least want to check out. Next up is Ironwood by Mind Clash Games. This is 1 to 2 players, 30 to 60 minutes, located at booth 365 with an expected release date of November 2024. Description reads, side with Windwalkers or the Ironclad in an asymmetric, card-driven, tactical duel. Which, 1 to 2 player game, first off, solo mode, I always appreciate that. I kind of mentioned earlier, I like card battlers, and this seems like a pretty unique one. Asymmetric stuff, I'm always a fan of. And it seems like you definitely got some sort of board going on here. So not only is it like a card battler, but you have maybe some area control, or there's some board aspect to it. Don't know much about the game, but I definitely want to check it out. Next up is Wandering Galaxy by Plaid Hat Games, 1 to 6 players, 60 to 180 minutes, located at booth 2221, and expected release date of December 2024. Description reads, take crazy jobs in space to pay off your ship. This is from the Crossroads game series, which I know there's a few of. I've not played any. I don't really know anything about the series, but I've heard the last one was well received. This does have a solo mode, so thumbs up from me. I like a good sci-fi theme. The art looks cool. Besides that, I don't know. Maybe this will be the one I jump in with this series because I don't know much about the game. I assume it's some sort of it seems like it's a campaign style game, but I definitely want to check this one out. All right, number 3 on my games to try at Gen Con is March of the Ants Evolved Edition by Weird City Games. This is 1 to 5 players, 60 to 90 minutes at booth 2956. Expected release of Q2 2025. Description reads, expand your colony and involve your ants in a fast-playing 4X nature game. And the description is really what kind of got me. Nature games, I'm not huge on. Ants seem like a cool concept for a game, and a 4X style nature game with ants. I mean, come on, that sounds pretty cool. Looking at some of the pictures, I was also getting a little bit more interest. You got a cool looking player board here where it looks like you have like a modular ant that you play cards to kind of swap out different parts of the ant, and you got some board going on where you're making like, I don't know, routes or tunnels. I don't really know, but a nature style ant themed 4X game sounds like something I want to demo. All right, coming in at number 2 is this game called Power Vacuum by Keen Bean Studio. 1 to 5 players, 30 to 45 minutes, located at booth 2838. Expected release date of Q4 2024. Description reads, win and lose tricks to manipulate opponents and achieve your agenda. I mentioned earlier, I like trick-taking games, and the fact that this is a trick-taking game that also seems to have a solo mode. I really like the art, and it seems like, I mean, it has other stuff going on besides trick-taking. It's a bit of a longer one, so it's got me interested at the very least. I also realized that earlier today when I was on Board Game Arena, apparently it's on there, so I could maybe try it out on there as well if I don't get a chance to try it at Gen Con. It seems like it has unique art. I don't know too much else about the gameplay, but the art, the fact that it's solo, and the fact that it's trick-taking, it's got me interested. All right, and the number 1 game I am excited to demo at Gen Con is Dead Cells, the Roguelite board game by Scorpion Mask. 1 to 4 players, 45-minute playtime, located at booth 2535, expected release date of December 2024. Description reads, explore, kill, die, mutate, and repeat. So this is a game based off of the video game Dead Cells, which I have never played and don't really know anything about. So why is this my number 1 game then? Well, for one, it's by Scorpion Mask, who has made a couple of my recent favorite games, specifically Turing Machine, which was a huge hit for me, and more recently Sky Team, which has become one of my favorite games in my collection. It's fantastic. So Scorpion Mask, I've been holding in pretty high regards. This is a game I've been interested in and for a while. A roguelike board game, cool, sign me up. Buy Scorpion Mask, even better. Has a solo mode, okay, now we're talking. The art looks cool. I don't know much about the actual gameplay, but this was, I believe, supposed to be demoed last year at Gen Con, and I think it was on my list of games to demo, and it wasn't there, so I really hope it's actually there to demo this year, or else I'm going to be disappointed 2 years in a row. So quick little runner-ups for games to demo. SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, is one that I was very interested in. I went to Origins Game Fair fairly recently. I saw this set up there, didn't get to demo it. It looked pretty intimidating, so I kind of want to learn more just to see what's going on there. Galactic Cruise is one I got to actually sit down and demo last year, and I really enjoyed. Maybe I'll try to re-demo it this year, see what's changed, see what stayed the same. I didn't get too far into the game when I played last year, but I remember it being pretty cool, though it was a pretty big game and there was kind of a lot going on, so the art looks great, and yeah, it's just one I want to try again. There's also some games I don't have pulled up, but when I went to Origins, I tried demoing a lot of games. There are a lot of games I didn't get to demo, so those games that I missed at Origins, if I could demo them at Gen Con, I will try to do that. So I didn't put any, like I think SETI was on my list last time, so that's why I didn't include it in the main part. And there's a handful of other ones that will be at Gen Con that were at Origins that I didn't get to demo there. So there you go. So that does it for this video. You'll have to let me know, what do you think of these lists? Were there games that I missed that I really should be on there? Were the games that you haven't heard of? Let me know what you think, because I'm pretty excited about some of these, especially, you know, some of the ones to try. I'm looking forward to demoing them. Hopefully I can get in to just try some of these out, and there's a whole bunch that I want to buy too. So hopefully I can get a copy of some of those and have them on the channel sometime soon. But yeah, once again, I will have a pinned comment in the description with these lists kind of listed out. So if you want them for yourself, you'll have them. And then I'll have a combined list of both games to buy and try, sorted by booth number, so that you can use that to kind of navigate your way around the convention hall and find some good games to play and buy. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, a like would be greatly appreciated. And until the next time, I'll see you.